Hi again, Greg Bell, the News Tribune here at Seahawks headquarters on the 7th and final OTA, organized team activity, practice day of the off-season before veteran minicamp begins next Tuesday. Most newsworthy thing I saw today was Chancellor, full go. Strong safety was back at his starting position, full team drills, full position drills. First time he's done any of that since he had off-season surgery on both ankles. He said to me at one point during the practice, and a big long sigh, that it was great to be out there. Lockett, at about the same time, a few minutes earlier, was on this field here in front of me, catching passes, jogging routes, not quite sprinting, but catching passes from Russell Wilson and Travoin Boykin during some quarterback drills. That's the most work I've seen him do in the 3 OTA practices open to the media. Of course, he broke his leg on Christmas Eve, and the Seahawks think he will be back perhaps by the middle of training camp. Pete Carroll has said Lockett has been a little bit behind Earl Thomas, who broke his leg on December 4th. Lockett's been a little bit behind Thomas in the progress of returning from his broken leg, but signs today showed that Lockett might be back for the start of training camp at the end of July, and that Chancellor, all signs are he'll be full go for that start of training camp, and certainly by the September 10th season opener at Green Bay. Thomas, on the other hand, was not on the field, nowhere to be seen during practice. Not a big deal. These are voluntary workouts, and this is also the last afternoon before the team gets an extended weekend off before having to be back for a mandatory minicamp, as I mentioned, on Tuesday. Carroll has said no doubt Thomas will be ready for training camp's start, and Thomas had extensive work in the first 2 OTA practices of last week, Carroll said, so the Seahawks aren't concerned about him not being on the field today. Dion Jordan, still bothered by a knee injury, not on the field. Quentin Richardson, last year's rookie draft pick, a fellow defensive lineman with Jordan, not practicing, was watching, along with Deshaun Shedd from the big knee injury in January. Those guys are expected to be back, with the exception of Shedd, perhaps by training camp. Shedd, on the other hand, may not be back until into the regular season, which is why Shaquille Griffin, the rookie 3rd-round pick, has been starting at right cornerback. Richard Sherman was back on the field today at his normal left cornerback position opposite Griffin, and as I've been saying, Griffin has had that first-team right cornerback spot since the very first day of rookie minicamp last month. After practice, the media was given to talk to Tom Cable, the offensive line coach, who made the point of saying that Justin Britt has emerged as good of a leader and almost a player in overall sense at center as Max Unger was. And to liken anybody to Max Unger is Cable's highest form of praise. And I asked him about that, and he said, yes, Britt has taken guys to his house for dinners, fellow offensive linemen. He knows all the calls and all the positions, which he should, of course, because Britt has played both guard and at tackle in his first 2 years before center last year for the first time. But it's high praise indeed for Cable to say Max Unger's name about anybody currently on the Seahawks roster. Unger, of course, the 2-time Pro Bowl center the Seahawks had to trade in New Orleans a couple of years ago to get tight end Jimmy Graham. The other news of the day, or the other post-practice quotes that came from Thomas Rawls. Rawls saying that he was, quote, humbled by his first 2 years in the NFL, injury-filled years, broken ankle at the end of December, at the beginning of December, at the end of his rookie year, when he broke out in such a big way in 2015, and then last year, ankle injuries, coming back from that broken ankle, and then leg injuries, and he never really got right, he said, till the end of the season. I've mentioned the other day, he looks absolutely renewed out here. He always plays and practices with a ton of energy, but he just looks different, and he admitted that he is motivated. He said he's a, quote, uncommon man, and believes that the depth chart of any team he's on, Eddie Lacy being here, Chris Carson drafted, CJ Procise also running back, he believes that any depth chart he is on reads Thomas Rawls, Thomas Rawls, Thomas Rawls. We'll see how Thomas Rawls responds to Eddie Lacy signed from the Green Bay Packers. As I mentioned, the Seahawks come back on Tuesday here for the mandatory minicamp that Michael Bennett will be at, unlike these last 2 weeks of OTAs, lest he be fined, and he doesn't like to give away his money. He'll come off the Hawaiian Islands, the Pro Bowl defensive end. We'll meet the rest of his teammates here on Tuesday, and I'll be back here to cover that as well. Thanks for watching.